my favorite things to do is drama. I love drama. I did it as one of my IGCSE subjects, and I take part in school productions as much as possible. The whole thing about drama is pretending. You have a character, and you have to act out as that character. So I've pretended to be so many different things. I pretended to know how to sail, I pretended to have seen all the money in the world, and I've pretended, and this is by far my favorite, having a magical broomstick while having green skin. That was top notch, and nothing can beat that. At this point, I'm basically a certified pro at it. My love for drama, though, only really started in year 6, but the whole pretending act was something I already was a self-proclaimed prodigy at. So pretending. There's so many different types of pretending, and we all practice these different types for different reasons. Type 1, linked to drama, is basically pretending for the imagination. This one is all fun and games. You basically just let your imagination run wild and see what happens with it. Imagine like you're Barbie in Barbie world. Barbie can be anything she wants to be as long as she dreams it, and it's basically living that fantasy out. The second type of pretending is pretending so that you do not hurt the emotions of other people. One clear example of this type of pretending is my mom telling me how amazing I was at the violin when I just started, and all I could play was a scratchy D string note. The thing is, if she told me I was tone deaf and was bad at it, I probably would have stopped. But she didn't and encouraged me, and now I do grade 8 violin. And type 3 pretending is pretending so that you do not burden other people. This is the type I want to focus on today for the rest of the talk. For me, this type is actually very self-explanatory. It's basically you not wanting to share your opinions with someone else because you're scared that you're going to burden them and add more issues to the current issues that they already probably have in their own life. However, only until very recently, and by very recently I mean last summer, did I realize how completely false that was, and it's completely not true. So just to give you an idea on how I actually came to that conclusion, this is a little backstory. At the age of 8, my dad passed away in a car accident. And this was a very early Saturday morning when I found out, and my mom broke the news to my little sister and myself. All I remember was basically sitting on my bed, crying while she hugged me. Most people at school knew that my dad had passed away, but no one talked about it. It was a very sensitive topic and no one wanted to speak up on it. My mom and the school, though, thought it would be a good idea for my little sister and myself to have counseling sessions, and therefore signed us up with the school counselor so that we could talk about our feelings and emotions and what we were going through. So I had 1-hour weekly sessions with the counselor, and we talked about loads of things. We talked about the little turtles that she had in a small tank in her room. We talked about what I was doing in school, and we talked about what movies and TV shows I was watching. So it was all fun. I loved chatting with her. But that was not the main point of those sessions. It was basically me the whole point was for me to be able to talk about my feelings in a safe space with a trusted adult. And on top of that, an adult with a qualification in listening to people talk about their emotions and feelings and overall problems. And yet, I couldn't even do that. This is basically me practicing type 3. I genuinely thought the counselor wouldn't have wanted to know, and that by me telling her, I was going to add to her own list of personal problems, and why would anyone want to add an extra hassle on someone else? Later, that plot thickened, and I found out a lot of things about my parents' marriage that I really didn't know before. I found out that my dad was cheating on my mom, and the person he was having an affair with was in the car with him the night he died. I found out that my dad's side of the family, so basically my grandparents, knew that my dad was cheating, and the alarm bell never rang for them to actually want to tell us, so we had no idea. In fact, they still saw him as this angel sent from heaven that could do absolutely no wrong in this world. I also found out that my dad so frequently came home drunk in the middle of the night, and my mom, someone who works and looks after 2 children, had to be the one cleaning up his mess. Made sure he got to bed. So I found a lot of things, and these new things no one at school knew except for a few teachers and obviously the counselor, my good friend. So you would think, and imagine an 8-year-old child finds out all these different types of information. It would be like word vomit, word diarrhea at this point at those counseling sessions, where I would not be able to stop telling the counselor any of this. And I still couldn't. In fact, I thought I was basically her personal superhero or Superman, and I was shielding her and protecting her from having to listen to what I was going through. I didn't want her to feel the need, the extra burden to now start worrying about someone else, or feel the need that she had to start worrying about my problems. And on top of that, give her an extra hassle and add it onto her list of personal problems that she could be going through herself. I didn't want to do any of that to her. But like I said, only last summer did I realize how completely incorrect I was, and that those feelings of completely suppressing and bottling up my emotions were weighing me down. That is until I finally opened up to someone. The person I opened up to is honestly one of the most incredible people I've ever met in my life. And after only knowing her for 2 years, I feel like I've known her my whole life. So she's incredible in an astounding amount of ways, like how she never gets bored of taking selfies and basically spamming my phone. So you can imagine what my camera roll looks like, and I'm basically haunted. I don't understand how anyone can be so self-absorbed. She's also incredible because she has this unknown confidence that somehow springs out of nowhere, where she yells my name in public in the most random voices. And I get deep secondhand embarrassment, but I hope she feels more embarrassed than I do. And thirdly, she's incredible because she's my best friend, and I honestly don't know what I would do without her. I hate raising her ego and putting her on cloud 9, but that's genuinely what I feel, and it's the truth. I can't tell you what unknown being or magical being kind of possessed me to want to tell her everything, but I did. I honestly felt like I could tell her anything without being judged and without the fear of being judged existing. I felt that she was my safe space, and she's never proven me wrong. And honestly, I just wanted to let her know what I was going through. So when I finally did tell her, not once did she interrupt me, she let me finish. And when I did finally finish telling her, not once did she give me a motivational speech, crappy advice, start telling me and questioning about why I couldn't tell the counselor any of this. Instead, she just listened. And she told me she was there for me, and that was honestly all I needed. The thing is, only after that talk did I realize how much lighter I felt, because I had been suppressing those emotions and bottling them up because I didn't want to have to deal with them again and deal with emotions that hurt me in the past. Honestly, I didn't even realize that they were weighing me down. I genuinely thought this beautiful thing, and I will stand at the side so you can marvel at my beautiful drawing, but I genuinely thought that I had joy ruling my brain. I continuously told people that I was fine, and in doing so, tricked myself into believing that I was fine and the whole world was sunshine, rainbows, unicorns, and all of that fun, when it really wasn't. And that's when I decided to come up with type 3 and my full version of type 3. It's pretending so that it's pretending so that you avoid your own emotions. It's pretending because you don't want to take that trip down memory lane and go back in the past, dig up emotions that you felt before, and actually address them. And therefore, you would do what I did and just ignore, scrape by, and pretend that everything is fine and it's all sunshine when it isn't. We all pretend for different reasons, and we all do these different types of pretending for different reasons and different situations. You might want to do type 1. Maybe you're with your friends at the swimming pool and you want to play mermaids. Who doesn't want to be a mermaid? So you're going to let your imagination run wild. Or you might do type 2. You don't want to hurt someone else's feelings, so you pretend and tell them how good they are when maybe they aren't. Or you might do type 3, and type 3 full version, where you basically decide not to burden other people because you think that you're going to hurt their feelings, you think that you're going to add to their own issues, and you think that they're going to suddenly think that they have to solve your problems when they don't. It's the power of realizing to be vulnerable with yourself and with the person that you trust. You aren't going to have the opportunity where you meet every single person in the world and you feel that, oh, I can tell them this, I can tell them this. That's just not going to happen. In fact, but when you do find that person, and I do realize how lucky and grateful I am to have found that person for me, that is basically my personal diary, where I can tell her everything and anything, I realize how lucky I am, but it took me so long and so many years to eventually find that person. And I do genuinely believe that everyone will find that person that will basically listen to them no matter what. My point is, the longer we pretend, the longer we're going to negatively impact ourselves. The longer we pretend, the longer we're going to hurt ourselves mentally, and not only as individuals, but we might eventually start causing a domino effect and hurt the people around us, the people that care about us most. And who on earth would want to hurt the people that care about us most? The point is, we need to realize that there is no weakness in being vulnerable. What's important is basically being open with your emotions. You're not expected to tell everyone. Not everyone deserves to know the truth, and you do not owe it to everyone to tell them the truth. But you do owe it to yourself to talk about your emotions, feelings, and most importantly, yourself. Because what on this planet could be possibly more important. Thank you.